Welcome to the Authorpreneur Network podcast, and I'm excited to have Colleen Davis with us here today. Colleen Davis is the founder of Intentional Visibility, a boutique branding agency helping purpose-driven leaders build brands that connect, convert, and create lasting impact. With over 25 years of experience, she specializes in brand strategy, high converting websites, and authority-driven content that amplifies visibility. Her approach blends human-centric branding, strategic messaging, and AI-powered tools to help clients position themselves as industry leaders. And we're lucky to have her here with us today to talk about her brand new best-selling book. Welcome, Colleen. Can you tell us a bit about your new book?
Thank you. Yes, my new book is The Visibility Formula: Build an Authority Brand that Connects and Converts. And the reason I wrote it is because I've been in business for, it will be 27 years this summer. And visibility is something I've always struggled with, not because I'm not an expert. I've been at this a long, long time. It's more that sort of peekaboo syndrome or getting overwhelmed, right? You're with a client, then you have to market, and you're always looking for that happy medium. So I wrote the book to not only going over the foundational pieces of branding and the visuals and the messaging, but also strategies that apply to you as a person and really uses your strength, whether that you're an extrovert or an introvert, or wherever you fall in the spectrum. I always call myself a social introvert because I strike up conversations with anybody, but I need my alone time. So I need all of the non-peoply time. And wherever you fall and whatever your expertise is, it really helps. You can find a strategy that helps you show up in the way that feels good to you and that attracts your clients.
I love that because that was something that I really struggled with for a long time. I too have been in business almost as long as you, 28 years since 1997.
You're longer than me.
We had square wheels and no electricity, right?
Right. No internet, or not much internet, a little bit.
Yeah. And for a good percentage of that, I was good about getting my clients seen and making them visible. But as an introvert and a plus size person, I would always hide. And so my visibility was difficult. My visibility for my company was difficult until I met Lisa Nichols, and she convinced me somehow to be visible, vulnerable, and authentic. I wish I met you sooner. So if I had met you back in those days when I had experience, but I wasn't getting enough clients and I needed to get visibility, but was afraid to be seen, nervous about, I mean, I was so nervous to be seen. My social media picture was a flower, let alone I didn't ever think I would ever get in front of a camera. Never, ever, ever in a million years, right?
Well, you're good at that now.
Years of practice, my goodness. But uh, for somebody that might currently be in the position where I was, where they have all the knowledge, but they're not getting enough visibility, how do you help a client like that? Because I'm assuming that's fairly common in your business.
Yeah, well, I would say, like, I'm not a coach, and I'm certainly not like a mindset coach that would help somebody overcome, phobias or being seen or anything. My job really is to help you find ways to be seen that are comfortable to you. And my primary, like my business really is about branding. So I meet people where they are. A lot of my clients are already working with a business coach, so they know what their process is. They know, basically what their business does. They know their clients and so forth. So they and if they don't, I can help them with that. But I'm not a business coach, and so what I'll do is I'll help people clarify a lot of things. Who is your ideal client? What are their issues, and or what are their pains and aspirations. So I always, there's a lot of debate on, speak to the pain. It used to be marketing was always hammer on the pain, right? I tell people to recognize the pain so that you can empathize with it, and then speak to the aspirations, because people don't want to stay stuck in the same cycle. They want to move forward. They want to move past that pain, right? So if you're talking to the aspirations, you're talking, their goals and what lights them up and what's going to get them beyond that. So then what I help them with is once we get the brand foundation figured out, and I have this process that I developed. It's called brand essence. And it's sort of it is an archetypal based system. I actually started back in, I think I introduced them like in 2016. I was working with archetypes and I kind of named them more creatively because, that's who I am, but it was basically the 12, archetypes. And I worked with them, but then I found that I was really kind of trying to shove people into a box. I was trying to shove them into one where, we're all made up of so many, and people can't really see themselves as one, generally speaking. And so I started, honing them a little bit. And then when Brand Essence was born, it was really more of a sort of a divine download, I would say, and from experience. And I'm very, very intuitive in my work. My coach that I worked with for a really long time, helped, well, she says that I don't do branding. I see brands. So I can look at somebody, and I always tell people my superpower is stepping into your client's shoes. Doesn't matter who they are. I'm really good at stepping into their shoes and seeing you from their perspective. And that's really important because you're building a brand to make money. You're not building a brand to slap a, picture on your wall, or whatever. So, but the brand essence, so I have 7 brand essences, and and while as a human, as a being, you're going to probably relate to all of them, your brand, your business is really going to fall into one. And it's a combination of who you are, what you do, the industry you're in, and your ideal client. And the ideal client is clearly the most important as far as, being able to relate to that person, because otherwise you're not making money, and if it doesn't resonate with you, then you're maybe looking for the wrong clients. So sales have to work together.
So part of this formula is, so it's sort of based on archetypes, but you have, from your years of experience, like honed it down to 7. Is
7.
that?
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny because for a couple of years, I was using 6. And the 7th one just came to me. It was like, oh my God. And then, and I'm not a big, like, I'm kind of a woo person in my personal life, but I'm not like, my business doesn't really come across as like that. I'm intuitive, and I definitely, most of my clients are on the spiritual side. But there's 7 chakras, and I started looking at my brand essence and the chakras, and every single one, oh my God, it was just crazy. It all lines up. It was like, okay, this is meant to be. Right?
I love that.
Crazy. Yes. Like, for instance, the guide, that's one of my brand essence, all about the throat chakra. The mystic is all about the third eye. There's just so many, and I'm not a chakra expert by any means. I have no idea how that even came to me, but it did.
So let me ask you, now I'm curious. So my brand archetype is guy, girl next door from the traditional archetypes.
Yep.
And with a twist of sage.
Okay. Yep.
Because I've done different quizzes that say different things and have multiple different things. But that's essentially what it is a community where you belong, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So what would that fall under for your seven?
You would be an ally.
An ally. Okay.
And
And
that's the heart chakra.
okay.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about community and building, sort of this tribe and this trusted resource. I find a lot of so my human brand essence would fall more into ally than anything else, but my brand essence is royal.
Mhm.
Because it's about elevating, and you to a certain degree too. I can see you as an ally though, and service-based businesses most of the time will fall into ally or royal. Those are my real service-based. The rest of them there's charismatic, which is sort of lover meets jester, if you know the regular archetypes. And they kind of, there's kind of a flow to them, but they're not like any, you can't say this equals this plus this, right? There's a little bit of overlap. So mystic is sort of sage versus or plus magician, but a little bit else. The guide is more explorer, I would say. There's the luminary, and the luminary is a lot of like body workers and healers. That's where they fall. They're sort of the nurture meets magician a little bit. Who am I missing? Guide, luminary, charismatic. Rock star would be your rebel. Is that ally, charismatic? I'm probably missing one. Guide, luminary, mystic, royal rock star. No, that's it.
I was gonna say, I think you got them all. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And so are all of those in your book?
Yes, I actually go through them in chapter 1, where I'm talking about ideal client and brand essence.
Mhm.
And then I give some examples in the visual branding and the messaging where how different essences will show up. And then I also have some activators on my site that people can download, and those really go into, and I give like sample color palettes. And for that, if you're the nice thing about brand essence is it really works whether you're bringing your business to the next level. It helps you sort of see things a little bit differently. And or if you're just starting out, it's a really nice place to springboard from. Yeah.
So what do you do? Because I know that you do like this very special VIP day. You do like the branding intensive, which sounds so fun.
Well,
What do
I
you
don't like
do for
the
clients?
word intensive because it sounds scary. I use the word immersion
I
because
love
it's
the word, but but I
yeah.
get you. I totally get you.
Well, branding is kind of overwhelming anyway. So I've been doing this for a really long time. I not only do the foundational branding, but I'm a designer by trade. That's actually what I went to college for. So I do the design. I create your logo, I do websites, all of that. So what I do during a day is I can create a brand in a day. Now, there's a little bit of, some pre-work on your part and my part, but during the day, I have actually named businesses and created taglines. I had a client a couple of weeks ago, and we created the name of her business. We changed it. So we created a new name for her business and a tagline within the first 37 minutes of our call.
Hmm.
And then I created her logo by the end of the day.
See, I love that because I love clarity, I love action, and I don't want it to drag on for weeks. I don't want to do the back and forth, back and forth. I would rather set aside one day and just go all in, give it all to you, have it done. Like that sounds like heaven to me because having the brand clarity and because I've been in business for a lot of years, I've had many different levels and versions of as I've changed as the business has changed. So I get how important branding clarity is because when you're in one of those interim positions or when you're just starting out and you don't have that clarity, let me tell you, on the other side, where you have the clarity, it's everything. It makes marketing easier. It makes your messaging easier. It makes communicating and closing sales easier. So I love it. I don't want to do weeks of back and forth. So that sounds like
In months,
to me.
honestly. Yeah. And the nice thing, Kathy, is that when we do a brand VIP day, you're really only on the call for the first hour or so, depending on what we're doing, on how much we have to cover. Then it's just check-ins. I just make sure you just have to be available. So it's kind of a nice vacation day or work on your business day or whatever you want to call it. You just need to be available to jump on the phone. Let's look at colors. Let's look at, style. Let's look at your first logo drafts, that kind of thing. And then I can do a website in a day
This
too.
year, you and me, we're doing that. I'm
Nice, nice. Yes. So, and then I can do a one-page website in a day. Larger sites takes a couple of days, but it's, the thing about branding is it puts you in your stuff because it's all about visibility. And then people kind of get like, oh, then they second guess things and they get scared of judgment and all of that. And so by doing it in one day, you're forcing you to react to take everything in here into your intuition, your gut, your soul, whatever you want to call it, not up here. What happens for the people, because I've been doing the brand in a day since like 2021 or so, 2022. I've just added these other things on, because it's the same thing. People get, are busy. They're serving clients. They have families or friends or whatever they're doing. And it's all the whole getting up in your head or getting overwhelmed. So the same thing with websites. I actually create content for you because most designers, web people are going to say, give me your content. I'm not going to start until I have your content. I'm like, give me some writing samples and let me learn about what you do. And then I create it all for you. Nice thing about a website is you're not printing 500,000 copies. So you can go in and change it daily if you want.
Right. I love that. And the thing is that the truth is when designers give us time to go back and take time to get around to getting to it and all that, we have time to think about it, worry about it, look things up, talk to other people, change our minds 12 different times, second guess ourselves. Whereas if you're in one day where you just have to make decisions, I'm the boss today, I'm making decisions, this is what it is. It's not the end all be all. It's like, what are you going to present for the next 6 months to a year? Because you're going to have to refresh your brand, you're going to have to refresh your website. You can't get around that. So it's not a forever choice, it's a for now choice. But when you're put in that position, like you have to put on your big girl panties, make the choice. There's none of that comparison and check it out and look at it later and send it later. And yeah, I love this. I can't wait. We're gonna book we are booking a call because that's exactly how I want to do my next level. That's it. I love this.
Branding, I've never had anybody come back and say him and ha and say, oh, I don't think we did this right. Never. And they would because I'm an approachable person, they would
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah.
So and I try to create a brand that will grow with you. So it may need to be refreshed, but when I say refresh, it's more of like, let's add a color to your website, or let's add a button color, or let's add, your brand is an evolving thing. It should be. If it's not evolving, it's not growing, and then that's not good, right? Because it's like a human, in a way. But you certainly don't want to be throwing, pardon the quote, but like throwing a baby with the bathwater, right? You don't want to, and you don't want to be changing all the time, because then you're wrecking your brand equity that you've built, because somebody will recognize you. So if I'm rebranding someone, I always make sure that I always ask the questions to make sure that, we either keep a common element, and it depends on where they're in a business, and, if they're going to be looking at a different market or a different service or whatever. But I always try to, bring something forward so that there's some recognition there, because otherwise you've, done all that work, and, then you're just kind of like, let's leave it behind.
Yeah.
Start
Yeah.
fresh. Starting fresh isn't a good idea, from a search engine standpoint or from a recognition standpoint.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from my point of view, what I always tell people is that uh, if it's all you, it's consistently you, there's always going to be consistency and matching. Like I'm not talking about rebranding like something completely different, but just a refresh, you
Yeah.
know? So, well, I gotta ask you, so what are some of the benefits that you've seen so far just having your book done and having a bestseller for a little over a week now? I know it's pretty fresh and
Today, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, we released it last Thursday. So, um, I have it hasn't been that long, so that's one thing. But I have, it does perk people's interest, and I was on a networking call yesterday, and everybody's clapping, so it does help. My goal with the book is basically it's my marketing plan for the year,
Mhm.
and maybe beyond. But it's an opportunity to get on podcasts and get on stages and get interviews. And, it just brings that clout, and maybe to get into organizations like coaching organizations and teaching and stuff like that, because I really, and my book is really evolved from a group program that I had called Brand Activation Lab. It's a little bit more, there's more on visibility in the book than there was in the program, but I'm going to reverse engineer it and turn the visibility formula into a course, you know.
Oh, of course,
So
based on your best-selling book. Yeah,
yeah. So it
great.
was a course, it turned into my book, and now it's going to reverse back. So
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, I hate when someone brings out a new book and I just see them not leverage it for all that opportunity. You're right. To get on podcasts, to get on television, to get on stages, like especially when it's fresh and brand new, it's the perfect opportunity to have it part of conversation. So, and turning it into an online course is a no-brainer. So, brilliant. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what might you share with an up and coming author? Any advice for somebody who's currently working on their book?
Well, talk to Kathy for sure. You know, I don't know if you noticed, so I didn't name very many names in my book as far as like the acknowledgments and so forth, but I'm sure that you can clearly see where you fall, because a book has always been like one of those things that I'll maybe get to at some point. It'd be really nice to do, and when we chatted, I was like, it wasn't on my radar when we talked. I was talking to you more for my clients. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay. And I did it. And I meant to do it in a month, but I did it in 3 months. And, but the I'm a perfectionist, and part of it is because my brand is about image, right? And visibility. And so I always argue that some of that perfectionism is needed. And I still have to remind myself done is better than perfect. And writing it wasn't the hardest part. And I've been using ChatGPT for a long time as a collaboration partner in client work and so forth. But it was really interesting to collaborate with it in my book. Now it's my content, it's my writing, but it was nice to have that back and forth, and having him, I call Chat my boyfriend, having him like give me feedback on things, and maybe point out some things that weren't, that maybe I needed or didn't need, and so forth. So that was really awesome. And I also, you learn so much about yourself and your business in the process of writing. Um, I've always called brand essence the soul of your business, and your your messaging is the heart of your I'm sorry, the soul of your brand, and the heart of your brand. And so I'm like, oh, there's something there. So then I worked on it, and I have this whole brand authority framework, that brings other pieces in, like the visibility strategy is the mind, and the visual branding is the body. And I mean, it's just all of these things like, wow, it's things that I've been intuitively using forever, but it's something that like I sort of, organized, I guess, in the writing of the book, which was kind of cool. The editing process was the worst for me, because I just kept catching things and kept catching things. And I suggest to everyone, I'm an Audible girl myself. I listen to most of my books. I I subscribe to a speech or a reader. So like speak, I can't remember, Speechify or something. Anyway, it was an app that would actually read the book back to me.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that.
And then I would read along part of the time. Like one time I would actually read along.
Mhm.
And then sometimes I would do it when I was like cleaning the house, or whatever, just doing mindless things so that I could listen to it in a different perspective, um, like I do with Audible.
Mhm.
So because when you're reading things, your mind is automatically filling things in, or
Right.
seeing things that you might not supposed to be there. So, by doing both, you're really giving yourself to catch most anything that you don't want in the book, or catch things. And that's where I came up with, like, when I was having it read to me, that's where I came up with, like, oh, I need a whole framework around this, or or I skipped that, or I don't really like that, or I'm using that word too much, that kind of thing, because it's going into your ear. And so it's really, that's great. But the one thing the app that I used uh would skip things like in parentheses,
Oh,
I think on the computer, but not on the phone. There was some inconsistencies. So you have to be careful and still read it. But
mhm.
it really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I bet. I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful advice. I really appreciate that. And so, as we wrap up today and plan to check back in with you in a few months and see what you've been up to, where can people keep in touch with you? I think, don't you have like a brand quiz you were going to share or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. The brand essence quiz. So if you go to, you can either go to my website, intentionalvisibility.com, or you can go to brandessencequiz.com. Um, no, I
I'll add the links also to the description so it'll be.
think that's what it is. You can get it to it from my website anyway. There's a quiz. It's just 10 questions. It doesn't take very long, and it's crazy accurate. I have no idea. I mean, it's just a quiz, right? I always tell people, and usually, sometimes it depends on your mood, when you take something. But I encourage people to go with the first thing that pops into your mind for the question. And again, this is for your brand, not your personality. So you want to make sure that you're answering things for your brand and for your client. But once you get done with the quiz, then it will direct you to download your activator. And the activator is where the color palettes are, and it just tells you about your brand essence and the chakra and different visibility strategies and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
How fun. I love it. I love a good quiz, and especially when there's a good follow-up afterwards. And I know that you have lots of tools and worksheets and activators and things that are associated with your book as well. So everybody go grab her book uh, and look at your branding, see what you might need, talk to Colleen, go take her quiz. I'm excited that I'm going to be doing a VIP day with her later this year.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here, Colleen. I appreciate you. Thank you.